We'd like to thank BetChrisCanada.net for their support of the Hockey Betting Podcast. I'm Brian Blessing in sunny Las Vegas.
And I'm Cam Stewart in cold Toronto, Canada.
If you love hockey and you're in Canada, and Cam is, by the All-Star break, even if you can't stop thinking about taking a vacation someplace sunny and warm, but you don't want to miss out on any of the hockey action, look for a BetChris near your next holiday destination.
BetChris is one of the leading sports books in the Western Hemisphere, with hundreds of sports betting locations throughout the Caribbean and Latin America.
Watch the game at a BetChris location. Food and drink specials and VIP lounges are available at many BetChris locations. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open your BetChris account.
Place some bets on your game and collect your cash at the window when the game is over.
BetChris offers single bets, parlay bets, teasers, and more on pregame and live odds for hockey and all your favorite Canadian and American sports leagues. And BetChris offers a variety of team and player props, including futures.
BetChris offers the best value odds on Canadian and international sports. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open up your account at a BetChris location. Deposit $750 or more and get up to a 40% reduced commission on your sports bets, up to minus 106 on single bets and parlay bets. That's the best juice in the biz.
So, if you're planning a trip to exotic locations from the Caribbean and Mexico to Peru and almost everywhere in between, the odds are very good. There's a BetChris Sportsbook where you're going on holiday. For more information about visiting a BetChris location while you're on holiday, or to listen to or subscribe to the Hockey Betting Podcast, visit BetChrisCanada.net. That's BetChrisCanada.net. Cam, you're Canadian. When you leave Canada and you're heading south, use the promo code PODCAST.
You're listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net. This is the Hockey Betting Preview for Monday, October 7th, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Hockey Betting Podcast, Brian Blessing.
All right, folks, we love talking hockey. Brian Blessing, Cam Stewart. I'm in Vegas. He's just what? Southwest of Toronto? Does that sound right?
I would say west, Brian. I wouldn't say too southwest, just a little bit west of
If you
Toronto.
were southwest, you'd be in the lake.
Yes. Excellent point, Brian. Excellent point, buddy. But yeah, no, I gotta say this off the top. We're very transparent on the shows, but great start to the hockey betting, Brian. We nailed Vegas in the both openers against San Jose, the overs in the Winnipeg Jets early games there with no goaltending and defensemen off the top. It's been a really, really great start to the hockey season. Let's keep it rolling, buddy.
No, and the situational things already are arising. I was cautiously optimistic about the Sabres. Their first game against Pittsburgh, steered clear of it, and then I watched the game, and I'm telling you, it's only 2 games, but the Sabres right now look to me like the Golden Knights did 2 years ago.
I
and
couldn't agree more.
Now, when I say that, it's because they're rolling 4 lines, and all 4 lines have contributed. A guy like Ristolainen, who is everybody keeps waiting for him to get traded. Cam, I got news for you. I wouldn't trade him. And I'm saying this after a summer of saying trade him, because instead of playing 28 minutes where this guy is out there floating around and getting himself in trouble, they've increased and bettered their defensive depth, and he's playing less minutes and making his minutes count. He's a physical force. I'm sitting there going, am I really watching this? If the goaltending holds up, Buffalo looks good. And to the point where, just because I'm saying I was cautiously optimistic but didn't pull the trigger, but after what I saw, then they're going home and they're minus 15 cents against the Devils, who had to play the night before and blew a 4-0 lead. I'm like, are you kidding me? I laid the puck and a half plus 230, and Buffalo just scored again.
I'll tell you something, Brian. Like, I made some plays that night. It was an awesome night. Pittsburgh, I had in minus 1.5 in regulation. They dummied Columbus. Buffalo, great spot. I didn't even tell you that. The Devils cost me an $850 parlay, Brian. Remember the game? They pissed away 4-0 lead against Winnipeg? Yeah. I'm sitting there going, and you don't even think about, the live betting. Should I get back with New Jersey? My girlfriend's over, so I don't really have time to concentrate on making money.
If you'd have put 100 on them,
I know.
In game, it'd have been the same amount.
I know, Brian. I know. I'm free. I'm still upset about it. And what do you get? Man, yeah, sorry, I can't see your face right now. I should grab your neck. No, I know, Brian. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot, redhead stooge with blonde eyebrow fool. And I could have done it. And when it went to not 4-1, even 4-2, when you're thinking, can the Jets really come back and do this? Yes. But I will say this. I have a friend who's basically a professional gambler. He's one of the only guys I know out of my buddies who makes money. Hockey's his game, too. We bet a lot of baseball and hockey. And he said to me in the car ride when we were getting together, the first thing that came out of his mouth is, I'm playing the Buffalo Sabres this year. I go, meet Brian and I just talked about it. They're a young team. They're good. They're getting no respect if they get any type of goaltending, Brian. They're a play-on team. I know we're taping this earlier on Monday. I'll take them against Columbus. I'll take them later on in the week. I think the Sabres, they're going to be a real good story in the National Hockey League this year. They look like a young team that's figured it out, and I'm going to play them until Vegas and New Jersey, these books figure it out. I'm going to get these guys as dogs or very, very small favorites, pick-ems. I'm going to be all over the Sabres.
Well, and I'll say this very quickly, and there are two games, St. Louis, Toronto. Toronto's $1.35, 6 to the under on Monday. The other game is Columbus is $1.20 at home, hosting Buffalo. The total on the game is 6, and I'm with you. And listen, Columbus already had their home opener, so then now we're into the teeth of a schedule. They lost 4-1 to Toronto.
They're horrible.
They lost at Pittsburgh 7-2. Buffalo killed Pittsburgh, and the one thing on this game, I normally Columbus has been a team historically, and like watch this, yeah, and this is what scares me is, oh man, life is Primrose Lane, and then they play Columbus, and you're like, what the hell just happened? But I think this is a different story with Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger. I'm telling you,
Nightmare on Chippewa Street.
This guy, I think is gonna wow some people.
Yes,
those that I think the hockey fans know, that those that don't. He comes back from the Premier Soccer League. He's one of these, shrinks. He gets between their ears, and I think collectively their defensive zone structures more sound. But I think this guy could be this goofball, at least in the short term, cerebral assassin, where he's getting between the ears of certain guys that are prima donnas or lazy, but he's getting the best out of every guy. And right now, honestly, am I wrong, Cam? I think that's a bad number, isn't it?
I think so. I'm going to tell you something. We talked about it in our pre-shows. I think Columbus is going to be horrible. They're the one team that takes a huge step back, probably going to be one of the more disappointing teams in the league this year. I'm all over Buffalo. I also have a lean. I'm not just saying this. I'm not typical Leaf fan who's going to bet them all the time. I thought the line was shady on Saturday night against Montreal. It dipped down to 45 cents when usually the Leafs are $1.80 or $200 at home to the Canadians. It was a good spot for Montreal. Crazy game over the number. Lots of weird stuff. But St. Louis, they slipped by Dallas. I think the Leafs at home will get it done. It'll be a QEW parlay on Monday, Brian, Toronto and Buffalo.
All right, and let's just some notes out of the gate. Winnipeg is a dog's breakfast.
They're a disaster. I was all over the Islanders on Sunday. I should have smashed that game harder. I'm mad at myself. That was a lock, and there's very few locks in life. But
you've got to play the over in their games on a nightly basis. Yeah. It's a mess. They've got one NHL defenseman. I mean, you're telling me Dmitry Kulikov is a number one defenseman? I mean, they're going to score goals, and they are, I mean, literally, Hellebuck's going to be talking to the little men on his shoulders after 10 games.
Yeah, and what do we get here? Winnipeg and Pittsburgh? They're probably, you know what, Brian? I wouldn't be surprised. 7. Are we going to see a 6.5, 7? You probably still play the over there. Pittsburgh, would they put up a 7 burger against Columbus, against the Jets in Pittsburgh? Wow. And the Jets can still score. This game has like 7-5 or 7-4 written all over it. Wouldn't be surprised if we got double-digit goals in Winnipeg and Pittsburgh.
Edmonton and the Islanders on Tuesday. Nothing's changed, right, Cam? It's McDavid and Draisaitl against the other team.
Yeah, and another thing with Edmonton, look at their goaltending. That's what you're going to get with Mike Smith. He's going to stand on his head, and Edmonton's going to squeak out some wins, or they're going to get murdered and need McDavid and Draisaitl to score. What happened on the weekend against the Kings? They got McDavid and Draisaitl to score. 6-5 comeback win over L.A. Not a very impressive win when you think about it for Edmonton laying 40 cents. But, in the Islanders, I'm kind of looking at the card, Brian, and, once these numbers get to 6.5, 7, I want to take some unders, but not at the start of the season. I got to believe we could see some goals in this game. The Islanders will probably want to try to slow it down. It's tough. It's a very, very tough game. It's hard to. Edmonton's a hard team to bet against because you can get burned by Draisaitl and McDavid, and the rest of the team nobody's afraid of. Nice win by the Islanders over the Jets. What do you think about this game, Brian? I'm kind of torn. I like the over, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on board with you there, if anything, but I kind of steer clear of it. The one I would throw at you is kind of a mixed bag. Detroit gets off to a nice start with a couple of wins.
Yeah.
They're scoring goals, but they're a mess in their own end. Had the over in their game with Dallas, but Anaheim out of the gate, and I remember this from last year, Cam. Anaheim, I don't think is going to be any great shakes. But last year, in the first month of the season, until he got worn down, it wasn't even close. The best goalie in the league was John Gibson, and he's doing it again out of the gate. 2 low-scoring games. He's given up a goal in both games. I think Anaheim's starting a road trip here. I'd take a shot with Anaheim.
I agree with you 100%.
Ride the hot goalie.
I'm looking at the Tuesday card. Anaheim, I'm in. I think we're going to get a nice price because Detroit's played better. They beat Dallas. Mantha scoring all 4 goals for the Red Wings. I got to be honest with you. I thought it was that game was Dallas got robbed. The refereeing was absolutely horrible. 9 penalties to Dallas's 2. It's ridiculous. Detroit was on a 5-on. They had multiple 5-on-3s in the final period of the game. Got them the win. I'm with you though. Anaheim and John Gibson, I can feel it, Brian. I think that's a great play. I think Detroit's been a little bit lucky in their wins over Nashville and Dallas. Give me the Ducks, quack, 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 at a good price. I'll put that in the portfolio for sure.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website, betchriscanada.net. All right, here's on paper, you say, wow, great game. San Jose's at Nashville. San Jose, pumped twice by Vegas, 0-3 to start the season. Evander Kane was suspended for those first 3. So Kane's going to make his debut in this game. You know what? I'm telling you, the goaltending is shaky for San Jose. I like the over in this game, but San Jose, they got to get their act together fast.
They don't look right, Brian. Also, Nashville, I think a team that very disappointing out of the gate. I know losing to Detroit, that was frustrating. They were the biggest favorite on the board that night. I got to believe Nashville gets it done at home against San Jose, but I do like the over in that game as well. You know what? We're on Fade Sharks. This team, they've lost to the Ducks. They lost back-to-back to Vegas. It's a problem, Brian. We talked about San Jose taking a step back. I don't think they're as bad as their start indicates, but Nashville at home, I think they'll get their act together. I like the home team in the over.
I'll be very intrigued to see what number they put up. Boston at Vegas, it's the get-out game. It's a great game, 2 unbeaten teams. I think they may hang a 6 for a total, but I think this is an under game.
So do I.
With Fleury in Boston is just, plays it close to the vest. I think this is a sneaky under game.
You saw Boston, what did they beat Arizona? 1-0. It seems like Boston's one of those teams, they get it. On the road, you try to play a boring style, unders, try to, get that first goal, try really lock down defensively. The Bruins are a damn good team, and they can do that. Vegas at home is a tough animal. I think Vegas wins like a 2-1, 3-2 style hockey game, too. I think it's going to be tough. I lean to the home team, Brian. Keep digging. We're on the under. I agree. I think Boston, they don't score a lot of goals in Vegas. People think it's going to be fireworks with these two clubs. I'll take the under.
All right, we'll be back on Thursday to talk about the big Thursday card and look ahead to the weekend. But let's just look ahead to Wednesday. There's only 3 games. 2 teams heading the right way. We'll see Montreal and Buffalo.
That'll be a good game.
The Kings in Vancouver will be interesting. But I just real quick wanted to focus on Jersey and Philly because you get Philly now. First game back from going to Europe.
Yep. Yeah. And the Devils, what have they been? Absolutely atrocious. That game against Winnipeg, blowing a 4-0 lead. I've already mentioned, my blood's boiling thinking about it, not hedging out on that game and getting money. Then they got killed by the Sabres. Philadelphia, on the other hand, Konechny looked really good in Europe with the 2 goals when they beat Chicago. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Flyers getting acclimated to back home. It's hard to back the Devils, but tired bodies equal mistakes, Brian. Probably a lean to the over in that game. I really want to take New Jersey. All the hype going into the season, that's what we talk about. A lot of hype, it means nothing. The Rangers have been playing better hockey, and that's what I told people. I go, I kind of like this Ranger team a little bit more. New Jersey's getting all the hype. New Jersey has no goaltending. Corey Schneider is a great guy,
but he's hurt. That's what I was going to say.
They got Blackwood. I know. It's a train wreck back there. They got no goaltending. Like, the Devils can be a team. It doesn't matter, New Jersey, if you score 4 goals. You're going to give up 5 or 6. You have to find a way. I don't know what you're going to do. You can't piss this thing away, but the Devils got to make a deal for some type of goaltender, or they're going to see the season go down the toilet quickly.
Well, the funny thing is, we talked about the Rangers and the Devils with the same regular season point total. They're sitting there going, this ain't even a contest. Jersey's getting all the hype, but yeah, great, you got all those players. You have no goalies.
No, none. And the thing about Blackwood is he was really good when he first came out. After a while, teams figure it out. He can't, you know what I mean? You can't sustain that pace. I love Corey Schneider as a person, Brian. I met him. He was very nice to me. But the problem is he's been injury prone his whole life. He's also a lot older. People don't understand. Remember back in the day, backing up Luongo at Vancouver. He's not a young guy. Those are years ago when that team went to the Stanley Cup final and Schneider was there. Major injuries. I feel bad for the guy, but he's very close to not having an NHL career. And the Devils got to do something about it because they got no tenders.
Well, the funny thing is, in many sports, most sports, I think it's a tread lightly kind of thing going in. I don't think it's the case with hockey. I think very quickly you can kind of see what's going on. And oh, by the way, just to throw this little subplot out, that last year goals were way up. Here, 6.02. And that was over the course of the season. And in the back third of the season, things tighten up. Here, to start the season, and what are we into this now, a week? All right. They are averaging in the league 6.22 goals a game.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And there'll be a time when they're putting 6.5 and 7s that we'll be looking at unders. But now, loose defense, Brian, bad goaltending. It's the start of the year. It's like shinny hockey right now. You got to bet these overs. Simple.
I'm telling you, there's not a doubt in my mind with the talent they got up front and then nothing on the blue line. I threw this out on Twitter the other night, just watching them. Very soon, I got to believe in Jets games, you're going to see 7s.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Hellebuck, too. I think he's going to take a step backwards. No Bufflin, no blue line. Yeah, it's true. And the
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Hellebuck. I mean, literally, I'm just like, I wonder when this guy goes home. I wonder does he have any lights in his house? You think it's like all candles?
I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of creepy goaltenders in this league, man. I look at these guys. I'm like, they look like serial killers. It's very scary. Like, they got that look too, and they don't know what they say about goalies. Usually, they're the craziest guys on the team. They're really, extroverted, like to party with the guys, or they don't talk. And a lot of these guys they're the non-talk guys. Dark rooms, candles. You're right.
I swear to God, you walk into the coffin. You walk in the room to do an interview with him, and you see Hellebuck. I want to throw candy in his Halloween bag.
I'll tell you, hey, we talked about the Jets from the start too, Brian. This is a team that's, you know what I mean? They're not going up. They're going down. I still like the forwards on this team. They got a lot of talent there, but it doesn't matter. Your back end, it's very bad. They need guys, and Hellebuck, I think, is a guy that's okay. I don't think he's as good as people think. So, yeah, the Jets are going to give up a lot of goals, and that gives us an excuse to bet a lot of overs with this team.
All right, we love talking pucks. The season's underway. Brian Blessing and Cam Stewart are ready to watch this season take off, and we are going to be here for you all season long.
You've been listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today, simply by going to the website, BetChrisCanada.net.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At betchriscanada.net and the Hockey Betting Podcast, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.